Good morning. I'm back out in my garden this morning. We had a couple of days of crazy weather move through. Tropical Storm Ophelia came through our area, so it was kind of a crazy weather event over the weekend. Just a lot of rain and a lot of wind. We're still expected to get more rain later today and I think throughout the week. So it's just been very, very rainy, which I am grateful for the rain. Some things are starting to look a little bit worn out. My zinnias are starting to kind of really flop over and get a lot of powdery mildew and just look a little bit diseased. I think that sadly I'm getting close to wanting to take those out and start adding some perennials that I've collected over the past couple of weeks. I've gotten some things on clearance and some of my zinnias need to come out so that I can add those in. So I'm just kind of at that point where I think I'm going to start tearing some things out, and I just wanted to come out and do one kind of final walk through tour for you this morning. It's the end of September. We're almost in October. I want to start adding some fall decor and just making room for some of those things. Let's just take a walk through the garden and see how things are looking. Everything is very wet, and just see how things fared in general from the storm. Before I take you in through my backyard, I just wanted to show you my Thomas Edison Dahlia is trying to put off blooms. I did have some nice blooms coming, but part of it broke off during the storm. Unfortunately, there was a big branch that broke off. I do have one coming back there. Oh, yep, just a little one back there that's blooming. And lots of buds trying to come and open up. This has been really slow to bloom for some reason. Unlike my Melina fleur back in there that has been just a prolific bloomer. So I'm not quite sure why this hasn't taken off, but I just wanted to give you an update on that one real quick. Let's walk in through the gate, see what's going on back here. Things are still looking very pretty, especially from a distance, until you get up close and see some of the disease issues that are going on. I wanted to give you a quick update on our grass. We did a project a week ago, maybe. I think it was one of the last videos that I posted on reseeding our grass, aerating it, and it's actually starting to come in really nicely. You can see some of the fresh green growth right there. I see it popping up all over the place, which I'm super, super happy about. So hopefully we get some of these bare patches filled in pretty soon. We have a couple of blooms left on our crepe myrtle. This is when it fizzles out, doesn't bloom a whole lot. We get a few blooms here and there throughout the fall, but nothing crazy. But it's still looking really nice, and I'm just loving the bark structure of it. It's growing more and more each year, and that bark is really, the trunks are getting a lot bigger and just starting to look really nice. My sun patients are looking pretty still, flowering prolifically. My Melina fleur Dahlia looks like it took a hit. It actually did lose a pretty big branch in the storm that I cleaned up a couple of days ago. It's flopping over a good bit, but it is still putting out lots and lots of blooms. There's a branch that looks like it broke in half back there. I'll have to clean that one up and maybe do a little bit of deadheading on this. So it's looking a little scraggly from all the weather, but still putting out really nice blooms. My zinnia patch down here is looking a little ragged. It is kind of flopping all over my boxwoods, and this patch in particular is really dealing with a lot of disease issues and powdery mildew. The leaves are looking pretty worn out. I think that I will probably be ready to take these out pretty soon. There is an anemone back in here that I want to dig out. I don't know if I can find it, but I think it's right there. This is the Fall in Love Sweetly anemone that is starting to bloom. I'm gonna take this out and relocate it over by my holly bed. So, and I have a lot of jalapenos back in there to harvest. And sunflowers that I want to see if I can get any seeds off of. So I'll probably do that this coming week or next week and start removing. Sadly, I just feel so torn because I do still love seeing the blooms of the zinnias, but the foliage and the way that they're kind of just falling over is not very appealing to me, so I don't know. It is almost October, so I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm okay taking them out at this point. These are, I think, the Benary's giant zinnia, and they also are getting a lot of disease issues on the leaves. And they're still flowering, but they're not flowering as prolifically as they were when it was really hot. So I think that's my decision to start removing these. And here's another anemone that I'm also going to relocate. Looking so pretty. And I have some pumpkins back in here, some baby pumpkins, baby blue pumpkins, and I think that I see a little guy right back here. Huh. There we go. Little baby hiding under the obelisk. These have been, they're looking a little ratty, but they've been left alone by the rabbits completely, which has been great. And my Mystic Spires blue salvia on both sides is just continuing to pump out blooms. The bees are still loving it so much. Really provides food for the bees late in the season. They are getting a little bit floppy because of all the heavy rain, and they've just gotten so big. I'm really hoping that these come back for me next year. They are, I think, down to a zone 7, and I'm 7A, so I'm pretty marginal for them. Last year they did not come back, but I'm just hopeful that maybe one of these years they'll come back. Purple sage is still looking really nice, and I think my tomato is ready to be taken out. It is putting out some more buds back in there, but it's not going to have time to produce tomatoes, so it's looking ready, so I might as well take that out as well. I also want to get started on painting my obelisk. I think I'm going to paint that white, which is another reason that I probably need to start removing some of these annuals from the bed. And so that is September, late September update on this bed. It was a great year, fun just seeing it grow and develop and think about all the things that I want to do for next year to make it a little bit better. But I really enjoyed this season with it. Looks like my dahlias took a little bit of a beating from all the rain and wind. Lost a lot of their petals, but they do still have some buds coming. And they flopped over a little bit. I could probably just get a stake and tie them up. This one is going into my hydrangea here. Yeah, I'll have to just get a stake and tie those up. This is my HS State Dahlia, and I do love it so much. Love that color. So, so pretty. The rosy pink on the hydrangea, my limelight prime hydrangea, I am enjoying so much. I hate to cut these blooms. I really want to cut some to save them for arrangements in the winter, but I just really enjoy looking at them in the garden too, so I feel so conflicted on that. In years to come, it'll get bigger and have more blooms that hopefully I'll feel more comfortable cutting at that point. But right now I like seeing it in the garden too, so I just don't know when to cut it. But I may cut some blooms soon on that too, since it's getting so late in the season. This patch of zinnias is actually looking pretty good. It's getting some powdery mildew and diseased leaves, but it's still looking pretty decent. So I might leave this this patch in for a little while longer. Have some pretty strawberry flowers blooming. These are my buried treasure strawberries from Proven Winners. I have a fresh patch of zinnias coming right here that have not even put on blooms yet. So it'll be interesting to see how much they bloom this late in the season. Have made the decision to cut back my black-eyed Susans. I was debating on if I should leave them up for the birds for that late season food, but I just really don't enjoy looking at them like this, and I don't want them to spread prolifically, so I think that I'm just gonna cut them back. I have one jalapeno on there. We grabbed a jalapeno off of this last night for some pizza, put that on our pizza. My elephant ear is enjoying all of the rain. This is the Royal Aloha elephant ear. I hope that I can successfully save this tuber, or not, what are they called? Is it a tuber for an elephant ear? I can't remember. I just hope I can successfully save it over the winter inside. Still loving my caramel heuchera in this bed. Really enjoying that pop of orange color that brings. I just have to show you my raspberry ripple zinnia again because it's amazing. So pretty, and no powdery mildew. A little bit of browning on the leaves down in, like way down in there, but overall just such a beautiful zinnia. Definitely gonna keep adding these. Perfect for the edge of the border. I love it so much. And one of my favorite combos this year has been that dark foliage on my Mystic Illusion Dahlia and the Helen Bonstein lambs here in front of it with that caramel heuchera, and even the spiky nature of the iris right behind there just offers so much interest in different foliage types and colors. And of course my little lime hydrangea kind of being the center of the show here. And I do plan to cut some of these blooms very soon as well, especially the ones on the bottom here that are just kind of stragglers. I'm gonna dry a bunch of these for my winter projects. And I haven't really showed you my Rose of Sharon yet, but they are still putting out blooms. They definitely open up when it's more sunny and when it's a little bit warmer, but still offering some pretty color. I have a few Dahlia blooms on my Mystic Illusion. I really probably should have given these a shot of like water soluble fertilizer to help them to bloom a little bit better, but I did not. So they're kind of slowing down a little bit on their blooming cycle. Got another one right over here. Really, really loving the lamb's ear. And this patch of zinnias is collapsing a little bit, flopping over a little bit. This patch bloomed earlier than the other patch because it gets just a little bit more sun. So it's a little floppy, but still looking very, very pretty. And you can see that there's still buds coming. And I actually have not deadheaded this at all, which I probably could, but it doesn't really even need it, honestly. This patch of zinnias is very floppy looking after all that rain and wind. And it's getting a good amount of powdery mildew. So I don't know, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this patch. I may start to take that out, I'm not sure. I have to think about that. It's just kind of gone wild. It's falling all over everything. So, but still putting out some pretty flowers. And this wee white hydrangea is looking so pretty right here. It's kind of being crowded out by the zinnias, but I'm really just loving that it rebloomed for me and looks so pretty. This is another, my David Howard Dahlia that I still have not had any blooms on, sadly. Just, I guess it's getting too much shade back in here, but it's falling over too from all of that rain. My foxglove down here are really looking good. This one is huge right here. So I think I'll have lots of foxglove coming next year. And some more wee whites that are not looking as great as that first one, but hopefully next year will be a much better year for those. And that is kind of an overview of how things are looking at the end of September after a big rainstorm. I'm really gonna miss this. It's always so sad to come to the end of the season, but exciting to plan for the next and think about all the things that I want to change for next year and just make it even better. So let's take a little walk over to the backside of my yard, see how things are going back there. Walking down by my green giants here, we have the back corner of our yard, which gets a lot more shade with the big river birch trees, beautiful river birch trees shading our property. Those are our neighbors' trees. Our lot is only 0.2 acres, so it is super, super tiny. We try to make the absolute best use of it that we can. We have this obelisk bed with just this river of impatience that I put in maybe the end of May and are just doing beautifully this year. I haven't fertilized these at all. All I did was put in some Osmocote into the hole when I dug each little plug by hand. It was a lot of work, but definitely worth it. And I will for sure utilize impatiens back in here for years to come. I plan to add more perennials, and I'm really debating on adding an evergreen hedge along the back just to give us that much more privacy and just help this whole space to feel kind of like a secret garden feel, almost. Just our own little secret garden. And I don't love our fence. This is an HOA thing. This is the only fence that we're allowed to put in. So it doesn't always, these types of fences don't always weather the best. And if I have some evergreen kind of hedge along the back, that will conceal the fence as it ages, and I don't really enjoy looking at it all the time. I'm thinking about maybe like a smaller U that stays narrow and doesn't get too tall. I'm not really sure. I thought about doing more of a mixed border with things instead of just one consistent hedge. I'm just still trying to figure all of that out. My impatiens are looking a little tattered from the rains and the wind probably, but they should bounce back and be fine. And these will definitely go all the way probably till the end of October, until our first frost. They'll start looking a little bit more leggy and a little more tattered, but they'll still look pretty. So definitely worth adding to your shady areas for sure. My Annabelle hydrangeas are really still looking very nice. I'm excited to see these continue to get bigger and grow and just fill in this space right here. I'm nervous to take off my covers on my Hakone grass. I can't ever say the full name correctly, so I call it Hakone, or Japanese forest grass. It's the all gold. I'm worried that the rabbits will find it because they were nibbling on it when I first put it in. I really don't want that to happen, so I just keep these covers on that grass. Very, very happy with these beautiful impatiens this year. This is our autumn brilliant serviceberry bed, where I have a lot of my hostas and ferns and wildberry heuchera. I previously had some Bruno right in here that died off on me, so I'm gonna try that again this next year, see if it takes this next year. And I have a lot of columbine popping up. I had 3 columbine plants right in here, and a lot of baby seedlings popping up. So hopefully next year I have a lot of columbine right here. I really need to take out these dead camellias that have been just sitting here. I tried to create a hedge of camellias back here, but for whatever reason they all died except for one right over here, which is not looking the best. But I'm gonna leave it be and just see if it survives over the winter and maybe starts to grow, and then I'll relocate it after it starts to really put on some growth. But these are the April Kiss camellias, so I was really bummed that they all died on me. I don't really know why. Hostas are starting to look a little bit worn. You can see from insect damage and sun. This corner does get a little more sun than they probably should receive. starting around like 11:30, 12 o'clock, it's mostly shade, but they do get a fair amount of morning sun. So I'm hoping that as this tree grows bigger and my neighbors have this really big red maple right here, that between those things, the shade will increase over time and be better for these hostas. But this is an elegans and blue halcyon and a wee hosta, and then this back here is a shadowland woo la la. This guy gets pretty big. So lots of opportunity in these beds to expand them and continue adding to them. I just kind of work at it a little bit each year, adding a little bit more and a little bit more. Can't afford to do it all at once, and I don't really like doing it all at once. It's part of the fun of gardening and developing a space, is just kind of working at it a little bit at a time and just kind of figuring it out as I go along. I just like being creative that way. So let's take a walk down here. See how these zinnias and things are looking over this way. And I just had to show you my mandevilla up there on my deck. It's looking so pretty right now. I love how it's climbing over my lights, across my cafe lights and on the gutter. I think it looks so pretty up there. And random, but this is the only hyacinth bean vine plant that has been even somewhat marginally successful. The rabbits just, I don't know, they love these things and they just keep eating them off no matter what I do. And they've continued to eat at this one too, but it looks like I am getting some buds finally. Sorry, my camera's not focusing on that for some reason. But that is kind of exciting, and it was starting to climb up this pole right here that I'm right behind my deck where we have our hose link, and I was hoping that it would climb up this light pole and just look real pretty and kind of climb, you know, along my lights and along my deck, but I just could not keep the rabbits away from it. So I'm really sad about that, about not being able to grow a hyacinth bean vine. They're so easy to grow, but they just love them. And I have my smoke bush right here. I'm debating on putting it right here, just kind of nestled in between my hose link and holly, and we have a little flagstone pathway right here. And I would have to keep it pretty trimmed because they do like to get big, but I think I might give it a try. I just think that I would really like that red foliage right there. And I also really love using this in arrangements with my zinnias. I think it looks really pretty. So I really want to keep it around for that reason also. So I'm thinking that that's where I'm going to put it. Coming in through our other side gate where I have my incredible hydrangeas that are small and need to put on some growth, and our Laura petalum right here. We walk in and come to this big, beautiful patch of zinnias that took a beating from all that rain. They are beginning to really flap and fall over, but this patch is actually doing the best as far as like disease goes. They're getting a little bit of powdery mildew. They have some other issues going on the leaves, but they are looking the best out of any of my zinnias. However, unfortunately, I do have some perennials that I want to put in this bed to, you know, overwinter them, and that means I would need to remove all of these zinnias, which I really, don't want to do, but I may just give them another week or two and see how things go before I begin taking anything out. So really enjoyed this patch this year. Fought hard for these against those rabbits, but they got there and did beautifully. This is some autumn joy sedum that I had planted maybe a month ago that are looking beautiful with their pinky, rosy pink color. Protecting those from the rabbits as well, just in case. Little white coneflower back in here, also that I'm also protecting. These Denver daisies are doing pretty good. They've been eaten a little bit, and like especially this one right here, but still blooming. I'm excited to see how these do, and the possibility of replacing my traditional like Goldstrom black-eyed Susans over there with something like this that's a little more sturdy and has a bigger bloom head. Doesn't look quite as tattered at the end of the season. So I don't know, we'll see how these do next year. And then I can't forget my ageratum, still doing really well and just totally resistant to the critters, and adding this beautiful purple color right along the border here in front of my sweet talker viburnum. These should be putting on a fall show soon. They are supposed to turn a beautiful kind of burgundy reddish color on the leaves. So we'll see. I will show you guys. I'll definitely do another garden tour walkthrough in October just to show you how everything is changing for fall. Fall is in the air, that is for sure. It's officially fall and things are changing already. And some things are just still looking really beautiful. And that is the end of my little garden walkthrough for the end of September, post-storm kind of check up on the garden. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate all of you who have subscribed and liked and commented on my videos and supported me through this little journey. Yesterday I hit 1,000 subscribers and I was just kind of flabbergasted by that because I never thought that this would go very far. I have always loved gardening and it's been a huge part of my life for many years, and I have been on a bit of a journey for the past 10 years with some health things that have gone on with myself. Maybe I'll share some more of that at a later time, but gardening has been just a huge part of kind of helping me to heal and manage those things. My family, my kids, my husband really encouraged me to start filming my garden and putting that on YouTube. Try not to get too emotional, but I just really appreciate all of you who have supported me in that and encouraged me and just helped me to want to continue this. So I'm excited to continue sharing with you all of my little adventures and gardening projects, just to share with you how things are evolving and growing around here. I'm just super grateful. Thank you so much. I hope that you guys all have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. All right, bye.